Hello. It says here that France is to send Australia the bill for its brutal ditching of a £45 billion submarine contract, and that Macron is in a dark rage. It's very odd about this because, you see, 47 billion is what the European Union has been demanding of Britain to leave Europe. It's sort of, there's a similarity there which interests me. Anyway, this was a submarine contract which made no sense to anyone. And as a matter of fact, I was put in mind of a medieval spat, like 12th century or something, between Britain and France. Richard the Lionheart decided not to marry the sister of Philippe Augustus of France. He pulled out of the agreement, whereupon Philippe flew into a pique and refused to help out any more with the Crusades. As they say, history may not repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. I wonder if Richard told Macron to
prenez un grip about all this, and donnez-moi un break.
Anyway, back to modern times. The fact that the Australian government appeared to be total butter in the hands of skilled French negotiators is a discussion for another time. Meanwhile, my feelings are that if the Australians hadn't backed out of it, they would have been even more fools than they appeared to be the first time, and the laughing stock of the world. Look, this is a comparison of the two types of submarines under discussion. Here's the US Virginia class and the Australian Barracuda. US Virginia class is nuclear powered, Australian Barracuda diesel electric. Well, you may say, what's the difference? That will become obvious in a minute. A US Virginia class is 3.6 billion each, and the Australian Barracuda is 6.6 billion each. And remember, this is for an old-fashioned technology. And it might not even work. You see, the funny thing is the Barracuda were actually nuclear. They were being modified to be diesel electric by the French, and nobody's entirely sure that the system would work anyway. And that's why, you'll see a bit later on the delivery date. The US Virginia class has 40 cruise missiles and the Barracuda none at all. Completion of the Virginia class submarines are 2025 to 2030, whereas the Australian Barracuda might be delivered in 2032. It's already been put off once, so we don't know if this date is even has any accuracy, and it could be as late as 2050 or even later. What the hell? And then the endurance of a Virginia class is years, whereas that means the amount of time you can stay under water, I suppose. And the Australian Barracuda can stay down 80 days. And it has a top speed underwater of 4 knots. 4 knots is less than 4 miles an hour. Even I could walk faster than that. Anyway, so there's the list. And the Australians agreed to this. Honestly, I'm sorry, you guys in Australia. I know I have subscribers there, but really, how embarrassing. Anyway, this comparison, by the way, this graphic I'm showing you, was broadcast a whole year ago on Australian Sky. I don't know if other organs were also broadcasting it, but this one was definitely out a whole year ago. So we know that there were murmurings from the peasants that far back. So the French could have done something about it, couldn't they? It was obvious to the Australians that they had been, in the Antipodean expression, dudded. So it must have been equally obvious to the French that their dudding had been rumbled. What were they doing about it? They could have forestalled this themselves, instead of laughing about the Australians over their croissant and coffee every morning. Whatever contempt they had for the Aussies, they still could have tried to rectify the situation, but not a bit of it after all. They invented camembert, didn't they? They're the big cheeses and deserve all due respect. Who cares if China takes over the Pacific? Well, the Australians care. The British care, and for some rather odd reason, which I can't fathom, the North Americans care as well. I shall at this point remind everyone that Obama stopped US shipyards from making submarines. Yes, he did. He reckoned they weren't needed. It was Trump who restarted the program. Is America grateful? I doubt most Americans have even been given that information. Anyway, because of Trump's foresight, the Australians have a chance of rearming themselves with 21st century equipment. I mean, those diesel electric, what's it like? They're due in like 10 or 20 years' time, 30 years' time. What am I saying? It would be like somebody in Britain ordering, I don't know what, Gatling guns or whatever, before the First World War for use during the Second World War. I mean, it's complete nonsense. Anyway, while Macron launches not out-of-date submarines, but himself into a fairly good impression of being the Miss Havisham of world politics, sitting by her wedding cake, I think that Macron might remember that Miss Havisham ended up accidentally setting herself on fire, directly as a result of indulging her peevishness. After all, if she wasn't wearing that old floaty wedding dress, she would never have caught fire. But that was only one woman. When a politician indulges such pettiness, well, it can have a far worse effect, can't it? Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.